Okay, so going forward, just to clarify a couple of things, to tell about the situation for this fictional situation that we invented for this exercise, I did need whether this was going to be a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and so I had number one, I picked boyfriend, number two, girlfriend. I rolled the dice. I got the die, I should say. I got number one. Then I Googled common male names and got William at the top of the list. So that's what I used. All right. So again, I'm just trying to make this sort of an organic process, but you will tell about your real story. Your real story is not going to be something you make up. I'm just doing this to sort of have a little fun with it, honestly. All right. So here's the example that I came up with. It says, so notice I'm explaining the situation. Do give the backstory. Give that background so the reader knows really what the situation is. That you should explain the situation. All right, so it says, in my first year of college, I noticed that my boyfriend, William, was becoming increasingly critical of me. William started criticizing my friends, my family, my hobbies, and even my choice of majors. I had become used to sharing many details of my life with William, but I began to notice that my sharing only gave William more fodder for criticizing me. I was very discouraged and had no idea what to do when I happened to read an article by Oprah Winfrey where Winfrey wrote, and here's the quote, you should include whatever the advice was, if it was a quote or whatever it was, right? Here's the quote, not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Suddenly, I realized after reading Oprah Winfrey's words that I had given William way too much power in my life. So we're talking about this realization that we had based on the advice. Power he no longer deserved. After reading that pivotal quote by Oprah Winfrey, I decided to break up with William and learn to only share my life with those who truly supported me. Oprah Winfrey's words, not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life, allowed, sorry for the, as you can see, this was organic, allowed me to refocus, I think that says refocus, on sharing my life only with my true supporters. All right, so is this perfect? No, but that's what I wanted to do, is show you how you can do this organically, and you know, you keep tweaking it, you keep working with it, right? But I want to point out some elements of this. So we gave the background. When was it? I said in my first year of college. Who was involved, right? The boyfriend. Gave him a name, right? All right. And so, I mean, you would tell in yours who are the key players in this story, right? I mean, so it's your story, so you will know their names, right? So, just, you know, you want to be specific enough that it makes sense to the reader, right? All right, so then what was the situation? What led to this advice connecting with you, right? So in this case, here's William doing all this criticizing, right? And I explained that, and then I came to the advice, which in this case came from a quote that I read in an article, right? And gave who said the quote, which was Oprah, right? All right, and so then I connected the quote with what I did about that, what I felt, how that quote connected, right? And then I'm winding into the thesis statement. Okay, so what I did, so again, there should be no surprises here. You're not going to just wait till the end in your conclusion to tell what happened. A lot of times students feel like they're giving it away, giving the end away, but you're not. To the reader, it just seems very clear. You're telling what happened, right? So broke up with William in this case, right? Again, every situation is going to be different. It's going to be your story. I made this one up, right? Okay, so and it says, then we go into the thesis. So in the thesis, you need your topic and you need your idea about your topic. So I would put the advice back in the topic. I mean, back in the thesis. That is your topic, is the advice. So even if you've already said what the advice is, and you should say that earlier in your intro, I would then say it again in the thesis, right? So I do have, again, right here, it says, I'm sorry, this gets a little messy here, but after reading that pivotal quote by Oprah Winfrey, this is the sentence before the thesis, I decided to break up with William and learn to only share my life with those who truly supported me. Oprah Winfrey's words, not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life, allowed me to refocus on sharing my life only with my true supporters. All right, that's my thesis. All right, so then what you want to do, I mean, this is the way that I do it. So again, I mentioned in the previous video, if you are used to and have had success with doing a formal outline, that works very, very well. In the chapter in the book, the next chapter, chapter 3, they give some examples of how to do that. So go to chapter 3 if you want like kind of a refresher on that. But for right now, we're going to go, I'm just going to re-emphasize the method I use, which I call a plan of attack. I just feel like it's a little more empowering, and for me, it was a little less intimidating. So what I personally do is I write my intro first, because then I know where I'm going. I know where this is going. Where is this headed? I write my thesis. Then I come up with my 3 points, my 3 reasons that I feel the way I feel in my thesis, or it could be 3 areas that in this case, advice has played out in. You could think of them as categories. It could be 3 categories, but you need 3. If you can only think of 2, just roll with 2 and then try to think of the 3rd one. So this is what I came up with, which were kind of ideas / categories of where this advice played out. And this one I came up with was in areas of romance and areas of friends and online. So of this advice playing out about not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. So now I know I've got paragraph 1 done, woohoo. So all I need to do is paragraph 2, 3, and 4. That's what's going to go in those body paragraphs, 2, 3, and 4, and then I just need to conclude, right? So that gives you a plan, an overview, and once you know where you're going with the paper, it becomes so much more easy to write if you have that plan. If you can think of an example for each one, like a little story, you might even make a note to yourself, tell about, whatever it is, right? If you can't think of it, keep rolling. Don't ever get so just stuck and paralyzed that you're just like, I have to stop. Just, take some time. Take, 5 to 15 minutes, whatever it takes, but not an hour, honestly, because you'll just get too bogged down. Just kind of get an overview of where you're going and then move forward, because it's not wall-to-wall carping, as we talked about before. You can change it, right? So, all right, so we've got our categories. We have a plan of attack. Let's move forward into the body paragraphs. I'm just going to flip this up. So with the body paragraphs, again, here's paragraph 2. So this is paragraph 2. And I already know that I'm going to focus on my category of romance. So I'm going to use a transition word or phrase, and I use the same ones in every writer's workshop I do because I think it's consistent, but I also choose really like straightforward words because you can use those. There are many other ways to do a transition word or phrase, and there are many other ways that you can even phrase your words to transition into your point. But what I find is that we tend to forget about these words because they're little and we just kind of forget them. We just kind of go into our reason. But these little words are so important because they smoothly merge the reader into the point. It's like a frontage road. If you're going to get on the freeway, you need that frontage road, right? You don't want to be driving on a city street and all of a sudden you're on the freeway. Right? How scary is that? For your reader, it's scary too. They don't know what's coming at them, right? So you need a transition word. In this case, I'm going to use first. Can't go wrong with first, right? So first, let's see. So I decided to focus on that I would use the category of romance. So first, Oprah Winfrey's words helped me to know right, so I phrased it this way in the category of romance. It said, first, Oprah Winfrey's words helped me to know who to date, right? So I said, first, so we've got our transition word. This is really good for the reader, again, because it helps them to know, oh, point coming up. This is important. But for you as a writer, it does a very important job. It helps you to know, okay, first, and here's my first point. So it keeps you on track to remember to write the topic sentences, right? It helped me to know who to date, right? So we're connecting the words to our thesis so that it's all connected, and it's not like a new and different point going down a side street, right? So then you want to explain that, right? I'm going to put how. How did those words, that quote from Oprah, how did that help you to evaluate, who's a good person to go out with and who's not going to be the right person, right? So you could explain that in so your topic sentence is one sentence. You explain it in about 2 to 3 sentences. How the words helped you to evaluate who's going to be the appropriate person, right, in this situation. So then you want to give your example. All right, this is, again, about 2 to 3 sentences, and it is going to be the little story that illustrates that point. Before your example, you also want to use a transition word or phrase, and this one tends to be called often a signal phrase because it's signaling that an example is coming up. So words like, for example, specifically, for instance. There's several more in the book. In chapter 3, there's a box of them. They're literally in a box. That she just gives a lot of good transition words and signal phrases that you could just go grab one out of the box if you can't think of one right then or you're tired of using the same one. But honestly, if you said, for example, in every paragraph, it's fine. It's better to, it's not repetitive in this case, it's just clear. So, for example, and then give your little story. So, your story that illustrates that. So when you were, pre-COVID, right, at a party or something, right, and you met all these people, but some of them you decided were not going to be anyone you wanted to get to know better in this regard because they were maybe very negative towards other people, not you yet, but you could see how they were talking about other people in a very negative way, and you knew because of those words they didn't deserve a front row seat in your life because they were being rather negative, right? So you want to give that story or that example, right? And so that takes about 2 to 3 sentences to do, and then analysis. So again, your focused thoughts for 2 to 3 sentences about this issue, about how you use those words in this category of your life, and you're just tying it together. Like the analysis is really like the glue that ties the sentence, the topic sentence, and then the example all together. That's that glue. All right, let's go on to paragraph 3. So paragraph 3 is now, it was going to be in the category of friends. So I use the transition word second in this Writer's Workshop format for this. So second, here we go. Something like this. Second, these words of Oprah Winfrey showed me what friends should be in my inner circle. So again, we're talking about the words that Oprah said about not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life, and how these words help to, in this category of friendship. So here's the reason. Is it a fact? No, because someone else might have a completely different idea or experience about this. It's a reason, it's a category, it's an idea, right? So second, these words of Oprah Winfrey showed me what friends should be in my inner circle, right? That's our main point for this paragraph. That's one sentence. That is our topic sentence. Then we have explain it. Why? How does that work out, right? Explain how that is true for you in about 2 to 3 sentences. Then give the example, give a specific example of how maybe you associate with a lot of folks, but this is how you know how who's your really close people in your life, that in your friends, right? That because of how maybe they act toward you, if they're encouraging toward you and you need them to be, or if they're being very negative and said, well, you really should have handled that much better or something, and that's the opposite of what you needed, that might have caused you to reevaluate if they are going to be in your inner circle, right? So you want to explain that, and then you want to give that specific example of that, right? That here's that here we had the situation with the boyfriend William. We read the words by Oprah, and now we're using that based on our thesis. We're using that in this other category of our life, right? And then we give the little story about this category, about the friendship, okay? And then again, you want your analysis, which is 2 to 3 sentences. And so that is, again, your focused thoughts about this issue, how this advice works out in this category, your focused thoughts on that, and it just kind of ties it all together. All right, so now let's go on to the next paragraph. I'm going to, so second, these words of Oprah Winfrey showed me what friends should be in my inner circle. All right, so that was our topic sentence. Explain, example, analysis. All right, paragraph 4. So finally, this is my very favorite, very favorite transition word. The reason this is my favorite transition word is that it sounds really important. It sounds like finally, like this is such an important point here I have, and it is, right? But also it for you as a writer, it's like finally, this is my last topic sentence. I can see the light, right? At the end of that tunnel of essay writing, right? So here we go. Finally. All right, something like that. Finally, Ms. Winfrey's words helped me to know how much to share with others online. All right, so that's another reason. That's going to be unique for each person. That's why it's a reason. It's an idea. It's not a fact, right? But it's this category. You want to explain that, how the words "not everyone deserves a front row seat" in your life allowed you to make this evaluation in this category. So, for example, if you had hundreds of friends online and you were used to really sharing so much of your life with them, and but now you've decided to narrow down those friends, or you've decided to adjust your settings or something, so that you're only sharing with a maybe a less number, but more of your close friends or something like that, whatever it is that applies, right? Then you give a specific example of that. Give a little illustration, one situation that illustrates that point, right? Then you want to give your analysis of that. Again, each of these 2 to 3 sentences. So again, I'm going to make my point about English lasagna. We are layering here, right? You have to hit all your layers. Every paragraph, you've got to get your layers in. So you've got to get topic sentence layer. You've got to get explanation layer. You've got to get your example layer. And you've got to get your analysis layer. So you're looking at 1 sentence 2 to 3, 2 to 3, 2 to 3. So if you did this, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 10. Yeah, that's 7 to 10. If I said 4 to 7 before, yeah, it's more like 7 to 10. 4 to 10. It's not math, is what I'm saying, is that it's not going to be this exact number, but I'm trying to give you as much as I can an overall guideline, all right? All right, so finally, we go to paragraph 5. This is so exciting because 5 is usually your last paragraph unless you've added like an extra body paragraph, which is, like, that's okay. Okay, conclusion again. You're going to touch back on your thesis. I'm going to reemphasize that. Touch back on thesis. What did I say about the information? None. No. I mean, you can give information. Just has to be the same. No new information. Really, really, really important. Again, we're not saying, hey, this just in, and you don't want to change your mind. You don't want to, not support your thesis. So, no new info. Really important. Closure. Give closure, which could be summing up your topic sentences. Just wrap it up, right? No new information. So what we're going to do, and I will have this in the assignment category, but what you're going to do with this for an assignment, for homework, what I want you to do is to write a conclusion for this writer's workshop that I just did, not for your topic, for this topic. Well, it's all the same topic about the best advice, but I want you to use this scenario. You're going to write a conclusion for this scenario. So it needs to match the whole little situation about Oprah Winfrey's words and, the boyfriend William or whatever, all that sort of thing, right? So it just needs to match up. Because here's my other tip. Really important. One way to check and make sure that you're on the right track before you submit your essay, read over your whole essay. You really should give yourself time to read it over because a lot of times you'll catch things that you didn't see when you were first writing it. But here's the other thing that's important. Read just your intro and then your conclusion. They should match. So that way you're making sure that you don't have new information or kind of end it on a cliffhanger or something like that. So what I want you to do is to write a conclusion. It's going to be 4 to 10 sentences in that paragraph, and that's you just pretend like you're this fictional person. You just touch back on that intro, touch back on the thesis, and wrap it up, right? Just kind of give that closure. And I think doing so it just works your conclusion muscles, and it helps you to kind of just get in that mode of doing that and making it work. All right. So that when you go to use your own topic, hopefully you'll feel more comfortable with it. All right. So I'm hoping that from this workshop that you have an overview of the essay structure. You have a good idea of the prompt, and maybe doing this gave you some ideas about your own best advice that you're going to write about. And I'm really hoping that this was helpful. Again, please know that I am certainly available, that you could make an appointment with me and we could talk on the phone about your paper. Remember, I have office hours on Mondays and Thursdays from 11:30 to 12:30. Drop in via phone, so call or text, and I can talk to you then. But if that's not good for you, or you would just rather make an appointment, and we can come up with a convenient time, and we can go over your ideas. I enjoy doing that, and I would love to help you with that. All right, thanks so much, and thank you.